Hi guys, I welcome you to my channel. Today I'll be solving some JavaScript interview question, interview related question. So first question I was asked, uh, first question I was that polyfill for Promise.all that I have solved already. One mistake I have done that I'll talk you later. This question I have solved and I have made a video already. So I've done this. Second question I was asked that. Write a polyfill for deepClone. Write a polyfill for deepClone at level, at given level, at any given level, any given level. L. This is the this question I have asked that I have never written, but I wrote on the go. Another question he has that create a custom hook. Create a custom hook for use local storage and use in Python, write in Python, so not Python, write in TypeScript. This is simple question. This three question I have asked. Unfortunately I could not clear the interview, but let's see what I have done mistake and where can I make the uh, where can I make changes so that next time if I get any interview, get chance to get if I get chance to interviewed, I will definitely do well. So like whenever interviewer asks question, first calmly listen to him and then go to solution. Okay. So first problem I was asked this polyfill for Promise.all. So it's very simple question and he asked me to write in the Google Doc. So this is first time I have seen that any interviewer have asked a candidate to write in the Google Doc. So polyfill for promises. Okay. So what will happen that you will be given three promises or n promises considered, and you have to write a Promise.all functionality. So right, Promise.all takes what? I'll do this for 15 minutes. I have to complete this all this problem into 15 minutes. Okay. So Promise.all takes what? Takes arrays of promises, right? So I'll write this. So dot all, the function called all function, and it have parameters, it have arguments. What is that argument? Params. Okay, now let me write the function here. So we are going to this promise will going to return the another promise, right? This whole promise will return another promise. So what I'll do here, I will return this promise, return new promise, and this is a promise, and this will have a resolve and reject. Why we have done that? Because we are this promise dot all need a promise, right? So that because whenever promise dot all gets called, okay, they promise dot all called, right? So consider the case why I'm writing like this: promise dot new promise dot resolve or reject, because whenever people call promise dot all and promises array passes, they will try to catch in the result, right? This is how they try to catch it. Okay. So basically this promise dot all return a new promise. Okay. New promise, like after resolving them or rejecting them, whatever thing. So if they have resolved them, so we will it will be catched in then, otherwise it will be catched in the error. So then or promise dot all then and catch. Okay. Catch error. this is how it works. That's why we are creating a promise uh, to return another to turn the response, or to return the another promise that all return a new promise that can be used that okay. So now what I'll do here, I will loop the params return a new. I'll loop that. Okay, so I'll loop that params dot for each params dot for each param. Another thing he took me that I was not writing the code that good manner, that's why I got rejected. So what I'll do here, param dot promise. So this is a promise, I'll take it as promises, and this is promise. Okay, so if promise is okay, so I'll try to resolve this promise. So promise dot this is I assume that this is promise, so we are doing some network call, or we are doing some promise related stuff, right? So I try to resolve it using then, and if resolve is completed, otherwise I try to catch the error. Okay, I try to resolve it, and now I'll check that I got the result right. So I will append this into the response. So response array will be the response will be an array, and I'll push into the response dot push into the result, and I'll increment my count, or just write that if response dot length is equal to the promises dot length. If both the cases true, I will return the response. Okay, now if this is not case, I will reject it. I will not respond, I will just like this resolve. We have resolved out all the promises, otherwise I will reject it, or error, reject with error, and this is the first error we'll find. That's it, that is the question for promise.all method. Another question he asked me that we might have a race, promise.race. We have a promise.race where we know promise.race basically takes that we have multiple promises, and the first promise which got rejected and accept resolved is returned, right? So we have multiple promises. Okay, and I will check that we try to resolve it multiple promises, then I'll try to resolve this promise. So we are here, right, in the response dot push we are here already. Okay, so let me write another polyfill for promise dot race, promise dot race, promise dot race. Okay, so we will have again promises, same thing we will have. Let me write the function, just race function. Okay, we have race function. We have race functions, so we have promises, we have promise, and we will reject it and resolve it. So first promise that got resolved, we have all the promise, and we'll try to resolve it using then. Okay, so first promise that got resolved is here we got resolved, right? That's it. This is the case for promise.race, because we are in the then and it is being resolved. It means that this is the first promise that got resolved. Okay, so we got the response, and we will do promise.race, and I got the first output. So very simple thing. I was using count, and if count is equal to this, I was kind of memorize that thing, and that's why he didn't like, and I could not get selected. But it's okay. It's part of the game. We have to work hard to get the success. Okay, so I was using like count, and count initially count is 0, and on each successfully response I will increase the count. If count is equal to the length of the array promises, I will return. I can do like this: response dot length is equal to promise dot length. I will resolve it because we have reached the end of the prom, like we have passed all the promises already, right? So this is how it would work. But so I know each thing, right? I have promises dot each to loop through all the promises and create an array, or just storing them into the storing creating a closure here. Okay, creating a closure here and storing them into the web API to get response, and each promises will have their own response. Okay, and when we got the response, they will append into resolve, they will append into response, and when every promises got over, I will resolve or reject. Yeah, I got the point. Here write the second question I was asked, that write the polyfill for deep clone. So deep clone basically, in the JavaScript we have, if you have studied, deep clone comes in the loadest part. Okay, so what happens that deep clone basically is the part of loadest, but we can write the function. So you will be given an object that can contains array, boolean, function, anything, date, anything, and you have to write a polyfill so that you can clone deeply at given level. So I'll write this deep clone function that will have two things, what object and the level. Okay, now I'll check that if uh, if that particular object is an object. Okay, so if object, and I'll take the uh, cloned array, clone object, clone. If type of object is equal to object, and and type of and this object is not a object, not equal to null. Okay, and array dot is array object, just two things, type is equal to null and here this thing. Okay, if now I'll do that, if that is object. Okay, if this is object, what I'll do here, I'll take the keys of the object. So I'll take the keys. So object dot keys, so like this, I will for key in object obj. So it will have key in object. So we got the key for each object. Now what I'll do here, I'll call the DFS of that key. So cloned object of key is again new object. So deep clone first object will be the object of key, and second will be the what, second will be the level. So I will decrease the level -1, and third will be the cloned object dot key, right? there is more chance that this particular object in an array. So let me write the here case if arrays dot is array is object. If that is the object, right, I loop through the keys, loop through the object, I loop through the I loop through and so what we'll do here, I will basically here this is the array, right? So what I'll do here, so array is the key of some object, correct? No, array is the key of some object, key in object. Okay, I call this clone object. So this clone object is an array. Okay, now what I'll do here, I will return return object dot map object dot map that ob, and I will call the dfs at here. I'll call the dfs return sorry deep clone, return deep clone of new object comma level -1 again and cloned object. So if that is object, if that is not object, what will happen? If that is not object and null, what will do? We will, in the else part, we will just write cloned object we'll just write cloned object of key, but we do not have key here, right? But we are doing array dot array, right? So okay, here if that is not case, I'll just return the object. Okay, that is it. That is the polyfill for uh, that is polyfill for deep clone. So basically here let me write it down better so that you'll understand. So what I've done, I have object available and clone -1. So if type of object is object and object not equal to null, I'll check that if that is array, I will return and deep clone it and return it. Otherwise, if that, and I know that if you are sending me object key can't we can't have object as a key, right? So that will be object only with some key. So I'll checking it, if that is array means this array is being called by some other key. So I'll just deep clone them and I will return object. If that is this if this is array, I will just return it, I will deep clone it and return it. If that is not array, I will check array, I will loop through the key of the object, clone object of key and deep clone the object of key and decrease the level and clone the object. The clone object basically the object we are trying to add data. And if that is not array, just variable, normal variable, just return the object, and that's it. That is the polyfill for uh, this function what deep clone. And I have another question, that create a custom hook for use local storage, write in TypeScript. So this is where I struggle. Let me write here. So what, this is how it should work. So const use state or use local storage comma set local storage, and it has something called use local storage. So it will take two value for the first initial and it will take initial and local value, initial key and val. Okay, we have these things. Now let me write this function or spec const local storage is a function. We have initial key. I'll write the, let me write the logic and then I'll write the initial, or let me write this initial key, that is the string for sure. Second is the val, and that will be generic type, and let me write generic type here. This how I should write generic type probably. Let me check. Okay, and use local storage, and this is generic key I am writing here. So this is the first thing that it's receiving, and second will be the return value. Anything will be returned, right? Let me write the code now. We have two things, right? We'll create two variable. How we do in the set state const storage and set storage, and that will have a use state. Okay, use state. For the first time, use state will try to take the value, right? So use state, let me write use state in generic form, and okay, use state in generic. It will try to take that, try to check the value and error. Okay, so it will try to check that value it have, or how to check that. If it, let me check, const val is local storage dot get item, and that initial key with the key, initial key, this key. If we got the item, I will just, and I'll parse it, check it is not undefined. So val new val or last val will be the const. I'll check the value first. If value is string value, or type of value is type of val is equal to string, if this is case, I will do what? I will just dot parse, that is string, otherwise val. And there is also chance that this is undefined, so right, type of val is string, and val is not val is defined, val is defined. Okay, let me check, val is defined, val defined, then only I'll go for it, otherwise just val. Now we got the value, but I don't in here also I don't know if this is undefined or value. So I'll check here again, const now I'll just return here, return val or val, let me write other value, not val, because val is already defined. Value and value, here is one more variable, value, return value or val. Okay, so if value is undefined, last val, return last val or val. So if last val is defined, it is not undefined, I will return last val, otherwise I will return the value. Okay, now other part, let's go to the catch part. If we found some error, I'll just return the initial value. Initial value is just val, I have done written, right? Val, that is it. Now we have already done initialization is done. Now we will do set storage. So set a storage is basically a function. Set a storage is a function, that asynchronous function that will have a previous, and right, this will have previous, and same thing I'll do previous val. So try it. Let me update the, I have to, let me update this. We have try here, right? So we'll try to check that, this is where I got stuck because I have not written this, and so yeah, this is the two question I have done. uh, Try catch, we will have set storage, and we will check that previous value, and previous value is in set storage, we get previous value as a variable, right, not a function. So I'll take that previous value, and I'll try to check that if I have to set item here, right? So if previous, now try to get first item, const item or val, storage val will be the local storage dot get item, local storage dot, no, we are setting value, we have to update it anyhow. So we have to update it anyhow, right? So we have to just do that, local storage dot set item, uh, but item with the key already we have here, right? Initial key, and the value we are going to do now, the storage gives us the value, that is the, let teach the, I don't know how this storage will get the value of a set storage. This is how I have written this huge local storage I could not try it, but these two thing I have written already. So yeah, let me check it first. So I will ask ChatGPT to create a improve the syntax error and tell just do it. So let me open this this file, JS editor, online JS editor. do not update my code, don't update my code, just update the syntax, just update the syntax. So we have this promises, we have this all and promise.all, we have this. So this is for promise, okay, and yeah, and this one for second one for the promise.trace, and third one is for deepClone for polyfill syntax. So deepClone, and this is for local storage. I've done some mistake in local storage, but yeah, so let me dry run. So can you give, I'll ask him to, can you give some test cases for promise.all, can you give, or I can write this test cases for me myself. So we will have two promise considered here. Const promise1 is equal to promise dot resolve with 1, we are resolving it 1, and const promise2 promise dot, I'll try to resolve it with new promise dot promise, and we have resolve two function, resolve and reject, and we have two function, resolve and reject, and after set timeout, after 1 second I will resolve this, after 1 second I will resolve, console.log resolved, or just return resolved, or just resolve it, resolved. Okay, so these two promises we have. Now promise.all, promises basically an array. So const promises is an array, so I will promise1 comma promise2, and I will try to run it. Error, there's some error here, missing argument list, promise2, okay. Okay, this is the callback function, sorry. Let me ask ChatGPT how to test promise.all. This discusses. Let me write just all dot, don't add this promise.all. I will assume that this is promise.all, and let me run it. Set timeout is not a function. Set time out is not a function. Yeah, see here, we got the response, result and response. So it's same way we can do for the promise.trace as well. So I just remove this, and first condition which satisfy will response. response, and you do not have to do right like resolve uh, response, that's it, or reject it. So this for first promise that only one should be received here. Yeah, only one, it is correct only. So promise.all function was correct. Let me write test cases for deepClone. So write test cases for deepClone. Write multiple test cases. So create which have define object etc. So we have object. I was just trying to test you. This code is correct only. Const object. Just trying to test and show you that I have written correct code. But time or probably the way I have written is not way correct. I don't know why I got rejected, but yeah, I got rejected after doing these problems. Last question I could not solve. I have to practice that how to write local storage problem, like how to write custom hook with local storage thing. So yeah, let me run it first. Let's find reference. What is this? True, true, false, true, true, true. Okay, so this I have mistake I have done here. I have to write like this. At each instance I will be creating an object here. Const clone object. I'll create here const clone object. Const cloned object, and that will be object of mine, and I'll just return cloned object. Okay, and that's it, and it will work now. So yeah, this is working, and I didn't get any reference. So yeah, this is how I this will not take second third argument. So this is working now, and I got I didn't get reference here. I got new object, and first argument is true, second argument is also true, third is true, fourth is true, fifth is also first, second, third, fourth, fifth, first, second, third, fourth. Cloned mix not equal to mix object, true. Cloned mix dot name not equal to mix dot name, true. Cloned mix dot address not equal to mix dot address, true. This is also true. So the clone mix dot address dot coordinate equal to mix object address dot coordinates. So what is the cloned object here? It is true, right? Clone mix dot address dot coordinates equal to clone mixed object address dot coordinate. Mix object address dot coordinates. But we are comparing two objects, right? And two objects met with two objects will give you false because they have different reference probably, right? So this will be giving us false, not a true, but he is asking true. So this is wrong. I have to copy the coordinates is also an object, right? Address is also an object, coordinate is also an object, right? And if address is not able to meet, how coordinate able to meet? And the label, okay, so the label, what is the label here? What is the label? um Level 1 is two level only, right? So okay, so one thing I have not done that key, if level less than 0 or less than 1, then I will return object. I'm not going to do any cloned. So we have to have some kind of label, right? Because if there's no label, how can I say that less than 0, less than 1, then I will return object. I'm not going to do. So first is true, second is true, third is true, fourth is the coordinates and coordinates. So it's saying that level 3 does not go deeper. First is true, second is true. Time is taking a lot of time. So this is how I've written the code. I know that there is some bug, that's why I didn't get hired. But yeah, I have written all the code, and lot like little bit mistake when I see that there is time running up, and so that make me pressure to work, and that's where I make mistake. So that's what I have to work on, improving the improving the how to work on the tense environment, that I have to improve, right? So yeah, that's thanks for watching. We'll do tomorrow DSA, and I got new subscriber today. I think tomorrow only he subscribe my channel. So thanks for subscribing my channel, guys. Bro, it means a lot that I'm doing something people are value, like doing value to my work, and he think that I can do some well. So I'll be doing well. I'll be definitely do. I'll keep grinding until I get the good job. Yeah. So thanks for watching. Bye bye.